develop products, and we try to see the different things that you as a product manager will take over. And that all varies. It varies based on the function that it varies based on the role that you're doing on the organization, and it also varies from the perspective of the focus of the organization. The other aspect that we talked about was if companies have lots of products in the market, if they have hundreds of products, how are they going to be able to organize those products? And we talked about the product mix strategy, or what we call as product assortment. And whenever we talk about product assortment, there are four critical aspects that we will focus on. First is what we say the product build. So we focus on product lines are standalone offerings that organizations may have that have a tendency of serving specific purposes. So within the organization, how many products do you have? And you're going to classify them into something specific area. It could be based on target market, it could be based on the type of product it is, it could be based on the category, or it could be based on the industry that you're trying to address through that product. The second aspect is what we regarded as product length. And when we talk about product length, it focuses upon the number of products that you are going to have within one product line. Okay? So in one product line, how many products do you have? Unique standalone products. And the third aspect is the product depth. Depth focuses upon versions or varieties that each product will have. So in one product, let's say in one product family, let's say we take Samsung as a global brand. We have Samsung, we have the TV sets, we have the mobile phone apparatus, we have probably the refrigerators, and we have, let's say, the washing machine. But each of the products, or this product lines, they have their own product versions. Let's say if you take the mobile phones, you have the Note series, you have the Galaxy and the LG. So these are the other versions that you will have in a product line. So versions represent the variations of products that a company offers within the given setting. And the fourth aspect that we talked about is consistency. Whatever you offer in the market, you have to be able to offer it in a very consistent manner so that you won't deter from it. Now, as we said in product mix strategies, there are times that you have existing products, there are times that you might pick up products if they are not profitable, if they have negative demand in the market, or you might pick products off from your offerings when they don't actually collide with your offering. The other aspect is there are times that you need to develop new. So for today, we're going to focus what are the strategies that we're going to see in terms of new product development. When we say new product development is the ability that the organization is going to launch and bring new products so that they could serve the purposes. So there are basic steps that we're going to see in new product development. We don't just simply bring new products to the market. There are at least a couple of things that we need to do, and we've seen it in the topic that we saw the previous class. And we said there are times that you need to test the idea. There are times that you need to also test the concept. You don't just simply produce the product and put it in commercial element. And one of the major reasons for many products to fail is because we don't test them, we don't check them. Just because we assume that consumers might want to buy that product doesn't guarantee us that they would definitely buy it. So what would give us the guarantee is, what would definitely give us the guarantee is when we actually check. So what are these basic steps that we're going to see for today? So it starts from the stage where you are going to squash ideas that you have, till the essence you put that product into market. We call it the commercialization stage. So the idea generation stage, then you are going to screen those ideas, because not every idea is worth being implemented. Just because you really think about it doesn't mean that it is viable. Just because you went crazy thinking about that idea doesn't mean that it's going to be a viable idea. So there are times that the ideas that you think of in your mind may not be ideas that could be put into action. So there are gaps for it. So one of the things that we have to learn is don't believe everything you think. Be wide with ideas, be as much bold with generating new ideas, but don't put all your resources in implementing them. So before you actually implement them, come up with a system that you are going to weed them out. Some ideas are worthy of your investment, some ideas may not be worthy of your investment, probably not today. You might invest in them in the coming. The other is, okay, you're clear with the idea. You say, this idea would work. Once you have cleared that idea, the next thing that you're going to do is you are going to test it. We call it concept testing. If consumers have this kind of product, would they buy it? That is what we regard as concept testing. And this is one of the major things that would save a company from unnecessary investments. It is a stage where it is going to make a company be more economical than being extravagant. Okay? There are times that companies, by the very mere fact that there are tips everywhere that push them, that tells them that this product is important, they just simply generate the idea without testing it, they go to the development stage. That would make them fail. And there are a lot of products that we had in the market before. They were in the market for a certain period of time, and at a certain time they go, right? Probably a very ideal example, an example that could be very close to us, could be Zaman beer. If you take Zaman beer, it didn't stay in the market, probably didn't stay even a year. I really doubt that. So it was in the market. There was a lot of promotion about it. But the product failed. Why did it fail? What was the problem with the product? Was it because other competing products were in the market? Was it because the product didn't actually fit the purpose that it was meant for? Or was it because the product didn't go to the right purpose? That's what we will see later. After test the concept, then the next thing that you're going to see is it viable? Okay, the product is good. The product consumers want. But is it viable for the company? Because at the end of the day, you are not Mother Teresa. You are not an NGO. You are not an advocate government. Running a business organization means you have to make what? Profit. If you have to make profit, you have to also check, is it viable in terms of business? There are products that came to the market which are very good, very noble, but they don't bring cash to the company. If it doesn't bring cash to the company, at some point in time it is going to be a cancer for the organization, because it only sucks money out of it and it is not going to give anything. So that's what we regard as we need a stage where we're going to check if it is viable. The next thing that we are going to do, we tested the concept, we check if it is viable, then you do what? You develop it. We call it prototype. Okay? Now from concept, you put it to what? Tangible product. From concept, you put it into actionable product. From idea, you put it into serviceable product. We call it product development. Whatever you develop should also yet again be what? You have to test it. Because you tested here what? The concept. Right? The concept might work. Think of it. Now, the products that we have in the market, let's say, it could be a sugar-free or what you call life, Coca Life. Right? Coca Life, at first it was what? It was a concept. Right? So the company said, okay, they tested the concept, people were responding to it. They said there is a lot of diabetic cases that are happening. There are a lot of people that are coming with obesity.
So they need a solution. The solution is what? To come up with a sugar-free product. Then you come with developing the product. And when you actually develop it and give it to the consumers, what they say up there might be different from this one. They will say, this is like something else. Right? And there are products that came to the market like this and they went out. I'm not sure if you know, there was a product that Coca-Cola brought to the market that is called Crown. Many people don't know about it because it didn't come to the market. It came to the market for a short period of time. It was a product that was developed and used to be sold in other countries outside Ethiopia. It worked perfectly in South Africa, it worked perfectly in Kenya. So they said, why not? Why don't we bring it to Ethiopia and test it? So they changed the concept. It was more of a mineral, a high mineral water kind of product, like the one that we have, Ambo. So that's the concept. But it is Ambo with a bit of a flavor. The one that we're currently having, Ambo flavor is perfect. But the concept was there in the past. So they developed the concept and they brought it to the market in a form of what? Testing. So they tested it. And many people who tested it, they said it tasted like Dettol. So whenever you think of Dettol, what comes to your mind? What comes to your mind? Be honest. Toilet, right? So thinking toilet, you're not going to drink it. I don't know. So the product came. So it didn't come to the market, they didn't go to commercialization, they seized it. So the fact that you do tasting, it helps you from what? From huge investment. Now imagine if the company didn't test it. Imagine the company without testing it, brought it to the market. What would happen? Millions of dollars of investment would just go down the drain. So you need to actually find a way to test it. There are a number of products that we would raise later on that didn't go through testing. They went directly to commercialization and they failed. Now, majority of Ethiopian companies, this is what they do. They think of an idea, they do it. They develop it, they commercialize it. Okay? So there are basic steps that we need to consider. Now, what do we mean by idea generation? Idea generation is the ability of an organization to come up as much as possible with possible sellable products that might have the potential to solve consumer problems. Okay? Now, the fact is, whenever we put products in the market, our purpose is to solve problems. But whenever we think of solving problems, that problem might not exist now. You might think of problems that might appear in the future, right? So this is the trick of marketing. When you do marketing, you don't only solve problems that you see upward. You anticipate, you frame possible goals, and develop ideas and products that you could sell 10 years from now. So the technological products that you buy today were probably conceptualized 5-10 years back. So they are materializing now. There are products that the companies produce and they're not releasing them because the market is not ready for them yet. So you need to come up with solutions of this sort. So idea generation or idea manufacturing, we call it manufacturing, is the ability of a company to come up with as much as new possible ideas, new possible solutions, new possible gap-filling products. Now, how do we do that? Now, that is a very critical aspect that you might think. So, the first is what we call dimensional analysis. Dimensional analysis is a way of developing new products, but you base it on the existing products. Okay? You see your existing products. ስልክ ልጆች ከደወሉ አንሱና ወደ እሷ ከሆነች I'm just. So dimensional analysis is the stage where you think you have a product, and you might say, how could I improve it? How could I make it better? So that is dimensional analysis. So you're not going wild with ideas, you're going creative with what you are having. Okay? So you might have probably a restaurant. So you have a restaurant. How could I make that restaurant more creative? How could I make that restaurant more different, more unique? How could I come up with new products? This is how, say, chefs do it. The products that you eat in the restaurants usually are the creative outputs of what? Of the chefs, right? So how do they come up with it? One of the way that they come up with new products is what? Dimensional analysis. How could I take this product into a different way? How could I offer this product in a different way? Or you could say, what would happen if one or more of the characteristics were removed? So, or you are simplifying the existing product. And you have to ask this simple question. I say, probably the ideal example is to go with how Apple developed the product. When Apple developed both the Macintosh, the MacBook Air, the MacBook Pro, the iPhone, this is what they did. How could we make the existing phones fit? As much as possible, what they did was they threw the junks out. They simplified it. But that simplification is part of what? How could I improve it? Okay. So there are times that you might find bottled waters brought in a very small sizes. There is a reason for that. That's a new product. Let's say if daily water decides to bring, let's say, this, how many liters? Okay, this is 600 milliliters. Okay, so daily might decide, no, after this I'm going to produce a 200 milliliter water. That is a new product for the company. But that the reason why they came up with that product is the reason what we should really understand. Probably they might say all the 600 milliliter waters that we sent, many people don't finish them. They use probably half of it and they leave the remaining. And most people don't usually finish it because it is difficult to carry it around. So if it is smaller, if it is mini, if it has a smaller quantity, people could easily put it in their bag, right? So what are you doing? You are trying to find ways to improve existing. Is it clear? Is it clear? So can you think of a product that came through this? Can you give me an example? Can you give me an example? Bendezi format imata product. G. I am all ears. Now I'm all ears. How is that? How is that? So they call it the Russian size, by the way. That mini pocket size liquor is called the Russian size. The reason why they call it the Russian size is because it is obvious majority of the Siberian countries are very poor. But they have to go to work at the same time. So they have to put it in their pocket. And whenever the need arises, it just puts up. So they don't have a tea break. They actually have a gin break or a vodka break. So that could be one example. What else? The laptops that we carry, right? Now think of the laptop that you had probably, the first laptop you bought. It was very heavy, right? It was backbreaking. What does that mean? It is heavy. Now think of the flash disks that you use. It's getting more compact, more simple, but it is still gaining more size of storage. This is simplification. This is how you can think of, modifying products. Okay. The first computer, the system unit. You know how big it was. The first system unit. It is twice this big. The first system unit, it is 256 megabyte. That means the smallest flash disk that you have in your pocket is 5 times that. So what happened? Through time, they modified it, and simplified it. So this is one of the cases. The other way of analyzing or coming up with products is you think of product development from the perspective of what are the possible gaps that consumers go through. What are the challenges that consumers have? Now, every challenge that consumers have is a room for you, is an opportunity for you. Okay? Now, this is the very simple fact. Aman is having the same challenge that I had probably when I was in the university. There is no seat in a classroom that is meant for a left-handed person. So he has to turn around, right? So if a company comes up with a product that could be used on a dual basis, it could be used for a left-handed, it could also be used for a right-handed. So you could just simply rotate. That's what this is the product. So you could So I'm thinking that you will be reading this product. So what we're doing is we see the problems. And seeing the problems, we look for solutions. Okay. So many products that we have are a result of what? A result of existing products, existing problems. You see problems, there is this beautiful saying. Ordinary people see problems and complain about it. Extraordinary people see problems and look for avoiding those problems. But the best ones, the entrepreneurs, look the problems and find a solution out of them. So that's what we mean by developing ideas, developing products. So when you develop products, what you see is what are the challenges that consumers are having. Now, how do you think the remote control was first produced? It's a result of a problem, right? There are a lot of channels. People have to go to the TV, turn it off, sit down, go back, think of. So they created a product. Unfortunately, it is a product that makes many people lazy, right? So if you go to the Western countries, if you go to England, you see the statistics in the US. The biggest problem is obesity. One of the problems or the cause for obesity is what? Remote control. People don't move. They sit on their couch, watch movies for 5-6 hours without moving a bit. So that is a challenge. So there are times that you come up with a product, then you have to change it. The other is probably if we take a hip case. People are taking pictures, right? Now, why do you think the selfie stick was created? Why is it? To easily capture pictures, what? Problems. It happened because of problems. Yes, there was a challenge of capturing pictures. Why? But the most important aspect is usually this having a distance capture, very good, because majority of the selfies that you take are it either puts your face in this contorted format, it either makes you a banana or something. It makes it even worse. But the actual reason for the sticks to happen is whoever is taking the picture cannot take anybody else. Let's say if you are taking a selfie, you cannot take the selfie for more than 3 people. So if you need probably a group of people to take selfie with you, how are you going to do it? Size, right? So it helps everybody to come on board. The issue is find problems, and for those problems, create products. That's how you develop new products. So if you're thinking as an entrepreneur, don't focus on the problems. How do you make those problems your source of income? Because those problems exist, you are going to be rich. Because such problems exist, you could come up with a solution. But the problems, as I said, may not be existing now. And we will see later on what that means. The other is what we regard as the benefit structure analysis. We've seen how we could change it in terms of the dimensions, different dimensions. We've seen it from the perspective of problems. This time we're going to see it from the perspective of benefits. Now, whenever you buy a product, what are the different benefits that it gives you? That's how you start. So can I make that product give me more benefit? It doesn't mean that there is a problem existing, but it is about what? Making it more usable, making it more friendly, making it give you more advantage. So that's what we mean by finding benefits. So you are going to identify some of the perceived deficiencies in the current product that you provide. So in the product that you provide, what are the things that consumers say, oh, I wish this product has this. So that's how you develop. Okay. So when we talk about how the mobile phones that you carry around with you, the way how it is changing is usually based on what? The benefits that consumers see every now and then they actually start utilizing. Okay. Now, majority of the gadgets that we develop are a result of what? Are a result of benefits. Well, what additional things do consumers want from that? So it helps you to come up with what? With possible options. So we call it benefit structure analysis. Now, when you buy a laptop, for instance, what are the things that you want it to do? So saying that, you add additional elements. The mobile phones, it takes pictures, it takes notes, it serves as a memory, it helps you to organize your calendar. What else do you do? So you add additional things. That's what we regard as benefit structure analysis. And at the same time, you also see what are the consumers' feedback about it. What do you think that consumers say, I wish this product has this kind of option, this kind of offer, this kind of benefit. So these are how you structure the benefits of the product. The most creative aspect and the ones that actually require a lot of innovation is what we regard as scenario analysis. Scenario analysis is you see the trend. You see the trend, how things are going, and based on the trends that you see, you develop solutions. Okay. Now, a very simple fact. Now, 73% of the Ethiopian population is under 29 years old. 73% of the population. So that means in the next 10 years, the type of products that are going to be demanded are not the type of products that are demanded. There is going to be a change. So this is why you should do a scenario analysis. So you're going to see, okay, if this is going to happen, what would be the things that consumers want 10 years from today? What are the kind of things that would be becoming a very demanded product? What kind of service would be demanded that much? Now let me give you a very tangible product, or a tangible product that is currently in the market, but a kind of product that we didn't even think of, say 20 years ago. Daycare centers. Now, my son goes to a daycare center, so it is a very interesting topic for me, I don't know you. But the thing is, now it is a very important element of the demands that many of the young parents have. There are a number of reasons. 20 years back, this is not an issue. 20 years back, you have a maid at home. If you don't have a maid, you could go out, bring one and put one, right? There is no problem. Now, you don't have a maid. Why is it? There is the frequent trips to the Middle East. So, if you have a maid at home, probably she has a passport. you should think she might be leaving very soon. Or even if she doesn't have a passport, she doesn't want to be kind of maid that would want to stay the whole night. She might decide, oh, I'll come in the morning, leave in the evening. Should rather rent a kind of a small cozy home with other friends of her and do a kind of touring business. That's what's happening there. ስለዚህ አንድ ስራ ሰርተው አይኖሩም። ስለዚህ እናንተ ጋር 2 ሰዓት መጥቶ ቤት አከራይቶ ራስ ይበዛሉ የሚደስለው ቤተሰብ by doing this they gain more money, right? So ምን ሆነ ማለት ነው? ኢኮኖሚው ዲማንዱ እየጨመረ ሲሄድ የነሱ ፍላጎት ምን እየሆነ መጣ ማለት ነው? እየጨመረ ይሄዳል። At the same time, they're human beings, so they have to, appreciate their values at the same time, right? So ድሮ በ300 በ400 ብር ሰራተኛ ተሸጡ ከነበረ አሁን the least that you're going to pay is probably 1500 1500. That's the least. Probably if she asked you for 1500, probably she's going to ask you for a GST. This is a common case. So they even have preference which of the channels are going to be allowed in the home. Probably in some of the places this happens. Just to flavor it, I might have wanted to hire a maid. This happened 3 months back. She wanted to hire a maid, and one maid came. She looked at the house. She said, "Okay, we agree. This is the amount of money that I charge you." She has this baby at home, and she said, "Okay, I would only be around at home after 9 in the morning." Okay, she lives in the home. She lives in the home, but she said, "I would only be available after 9." And my aunt was curious, what are you going to do before that? She said, "I have to go out for a run." She runs in the morning. Now, if this kind of trends that are going to happen after this, you have to come up with a solution. So it's not only a daycare that you're going to need, right? So you are going to outsource a lot of things, right? So these are trend analysis. What is happening now? What would be the trend right in 10 years from today? And what sort of product should I develop now? Okay. Now, if you have seen in many of the businesses, takeaway business is becoming a very common trend these days, right? It was not that much common probably 5-6 years back, right? Now, many of the restaurants, even the neighborhood restaurants and cafes, do takeaways. Why is it? Because people don't have time. They don't have time to go to the restaurant, eat there, and come back and do that and this. So they have to do it. One is that. The second is the living format has changed, right? The living format has changed, and you don't have much of the facilities that you do. The other thing, now when you go to the different places, thanks to Salam Bantana, now Nikita, Coralina, and all these things are on the shelf, right? Do you even remember when your parents were considering buying processed products like that? When was the last time you saw that? Honestly. Where did you come? I'm giving you this scenario because now many people don't afford a full power. What happened? The kind of housing facilities, what we call the condominiums, change its lifestyle. You don't even see people in that sofa like that. ስለዚህ think of አራተኛ ላይ የሚኖር ሰው በቀን 3 ጊዜ ቡና ቢጠጣ ስንቴ ነው ቡና? አሁን ማሽን አለ። The worst case scenario, you buy a process. So many ያየን trend change. So trend change አረገ ማለት you need to come up with solution. You need to come up with product. You need to come up with strategy. መብራት እና ውሃ መክፈት was a business at some point. Because there was this a kind of የማህበረ ቤቶች አንድ በብዛት መጥቷ ባልና ሚስት ስራ ይሰራሉ ቤት ሰራተኛ የለም መብራት ሳይከፈል ይቆረጥ ስለዚህ ሶሉሽን ምናምን ታዲያ ነው ከዛ በኋላ ሲየው አደረገው ስለዚህ ምን ማለት ባንካ የትራንስፖርት ቻርጅ so አምስት ብር ቻርጅ ማለት ነው ቢዝነስ ስታርት this how they do it so you see right and you come up with what the solution you see problems and you see what possible solutions so this is what you mean by having a creative mindset that's how products are developed unless you do this you wouldn't come up with solutions get sir any question still in one any question it doesn't mean that these are the only 4 ways of developing it doesn't mean that it means these are the common ways there are probably products by association we call it forced association so you associate products that doesn't go along together you match them together in a certain creative way and you put it as a product very simple example I think it was 6 or 7 years back there was a common trend that people recite poems or sticks right it's a common thing so what they came up with I think it started at Bolero so they say no we're not going to only give the poems recited at public we're going to play it with jazz music now, if you go to Ras Hotel, they have the monthly event, Poetic Jazz. This is what we call forced association. These are products that don't, the minimum garbage like production, you associate them. They stand alone products, so associate them. If you go to the restaurants currently, this is what you go, you find. Because your interest is varied, what happened is what? They started serving half a dish. ግማሽ ምናምን አዛጣጣው ግማሽ ላዛኛ በሽሮ ለምን ነው አይጋቡ so አሁን ቃተኛ you half of the menu is what ግማሽ በሚል right so this is creating products this is how chefs can create new flavors I'm not sure if you know pizza corner how many of you know pizza corner have you ever seen the menu in pizza corner there is one unique name that we have there. How do you know how that product came into the market? When you have Gumash Muslim, right? Gumash Muslim is very weird. Ordering a half of the month. What happens there? Now, the thing that happened is the guy comes to that place. And he has these pigs. He doesn't eat whatever they offer. So he said, I like it this way. Put this thing, and this thing, and make it a dish for me. That's how it started. So Muslim now started being popular in the house. The guy, not the food. The guy became popular. So the waiters, they go to the kitchen and say, Muslim, so this is how it started. So then you must be so the people who are also dining in that place started looking at this food and getting interested. And this is what we usually do. You go to the restaurant before you actually order a food. What do? You look around. It makes it easier. Then the menu command. Give you too much money. No, like it's easier. Especially if you are going to a place that you've never been before, this is what you do. So people see that and they say, that's why. So Muslim was given the credit for creating the product, and it is in the menu. So my wish for you is to be in a menu while you're there, if it is possible. So products are created in this way. So some of them are mind-blowing creative products. Some of them are euphoric products, euphoric in a sense. They just simply happen. You know, like a crazy idea in the mind of the person who invented them, they just simply happen. Now, I said one thing earlier. Not everything you think is right. And not everything you think is worthy of investment. So you need to do screening. Screening is the stage where you're going to weed out some of the ideas that are not worthy of your time, your investment, your creativity, or your resources. You weed them out based on probably their returns. You weed them out based on the amount of resources that you have. You weed them out based on applicability. You weed them out because for that target market, it's a crazy idea. Basically, there are a lot of products that are popular in the Western countries. If you bring them to Ethiopia, people would think it is crazy, right? Now, think of the time Mangacha Zagari, everybody thought it is a curse. And yet, so the June is equally unfair as well. It has a connotation, historical connotation, cultural connotation. በጀርባ የሚታዘለው ብዙ ጊዜ ሴቶች ምን ስለሚያደርጉ ስራ እየሰሩ ነው ልጃቸውን የሚያዙ። ስለዚህ ያ አታችመንት አለ። ይሄ አንድ ነው። ሁለተኛ ፕሮቴክቲቭ ሜንታሊቲ አለ። ለምሳሌ ልጅ እዚህ ጋር ሆነ ብትደናቀፉ go to your front, you just simply crush the kid. So ይሄ ነው የሚታየው። So people were resistant. So it was difficult to bring it back there. Now everybody is doing it. So what you do is you look for attractive ideas. You look for ideas that are worthy. Then you will the remaining. How do we do that? Now, one of the things that you do is you might develop a checklist that, from your own perspective, it could be in terms of your objective, it could be in terms of your vision, it could be in terms of your requirements, it could be in terms of your budget allocation. You set a checklist. So based on that checklist, you weed out the guys. Now this is something that probably, if you take the media stations, or if you take the TV stations, if you take the radios, if you take the newspapers, they do this literally every now and then. Whenever there are new products or new programs, program proposals are submitted to them, this is what they do. They have a checklist and they cross-check it with that. Does it qualify this kind of thing? Does it have this? Does it have this? Does it have this? And if it fits to the checklist, it proceeds. If it doesn't, pass it. Right? So this is how ideas are cleared. The other is you see from the perspective of the value that they could bring at the same time. What value would they bring? You're also going to see the cost-benefit analysis. If I bring this product into my offerings, what are the benefits and the values that it would bring? If I don't have it, what are the things that I would lose? If the loss is higher than the gains that we're going to have, drop the product. But if the gain is higher, what do? You're going to put it on. So this is how you're going to weed them out. Now, if you ask me for St. Mary's, before we actually finalize and settle with the departments that we have now, we have lots of departments in mind. There were a lot of curriculums that were developed, and we checked every one of them. Which of the departments or the fields would be popular in a certain period of time? Which of them should we work on them now? Which of them should we just simply pose them in shelf? And which of them should we just simply put them in the basket? So that has to happen even for service providing companies, for manufacturing industries, for fast moving consumer goods, for any sort of organization, you need to see what are the attributes that I will get out of this product. The other is setting standards for the organization. Okay. As a company, what are the standards that we have? Whatever product that comes in should fit into that standard. Okay? So that standard is a very critical aspect. You don't just simply accept all ideas, all possible solutions, but does it actually go in line with the value systems that I have? They say, you go to the 5-star, the 4-star hotels, this is what they do. They don't simply host all the events that they give. This is a product for them. They give money out of it, but they don't host everything. So they see, if I host it, if I affiliate myself to that kind of product, would it be a kind of product that would fit the standard? If it doesn't fit the standard, it is going to drain you with it. It's going to kill you, right? And we said from the very get-go of this course, the equity value of your brand is very important. So it's not about having cash, it's not about the amount of money you make, but through the process of getting that money, how much loss have you created on your image? So this is very critical. Okay? You might make money out of it today, but what would be the implication on your brand name in the upcoming future? And this is very critical. Clear? Yes? No? Probably? Somehow? We screen, then we do what? Huh? Testing, as I tried to mention earlier, testing is about would this idea, if it is put into action, would people now, let me put it like this. When Masala Mangustu started Group Material on Sugar FM, probably 8 years back, this was an idea. It was just an idea. And he went probably to the radio station managers and said, look, I have this idea. I'm going to put my program on your radio. And I'm going to make everybody see football through your radio. Can you think of the first response that people gave him when he said that? You will get crazy. It's never worked. And probably 90% of the products that we see in the market were products that have been said when that was. But you have to push, you have to persist, and you have to test it. Okay. So what he did was he tested it. He tested the concept of people listening to the radio, visualizing. But that needed a class. Not everybody could do how and he. So full without a negative. I don't know what. You're watching the So what he did was he tested the concept at the station. He gave them a demo. This is what they do. So they test the concept. Any of the medias that are giving you an airtime, they don't just simply give you the airtime with your concept. They don't just simply give you with what you say. They are going to test it. So they are going to test it with their colleagues. They are going to test it with themselves. They are going to test it with their certain focus groups. This is what we call testing. What is work? So the idea might be appealing when you think about it, but would it be appealing for people? It's not about being appealing to people. If he has a company, would he sponsor it? That's again a very important aspect when you go to the media, right? So that's what we invite. You need to test the concept. Let me give you a very simple example. How many of you have used Fantastic already? is Fanta ananas, there is Fanta orange, and there is Fanta strawberry. How many of you are using? Real color. It's very interesting. This is why we need concept testing. Now, the company, Coca, produced it. They did the concept testing. Fanta is a very enjoyable product. Whatever versions that we put, strawberry is again another product that consumers like it, even in a natural form. So why don't we actually put it and make it in the market? So they produced it, they put it. Now, if you go to any ordinary shop in the neighborhood that you live, you wouldn't find Fanta strawberry. You know where you will find it? You will find it in the Red, you will find it in Harar, and you definitely find it in Boleroan. Exactly. So the concept that is that beautiful, when you actually take it into action, may not be that beautiful. So it might be a niche market later on. So you need to really understand before you actually invest your money on it, put it into the market and say, what do? You do concept testing. You test the concept, you check it whether it works or not. And when you do concept testing, there are a couple of things that you need to understand. You are going to concept test it probably on visual aspect. You need to concept test it based on flavor, for instance. You need to do concept testing based on taste. You need to concept test it based on appearance. Now, how many of you do remember Fanta Lobina and Fanta Lemon? There were two other products before all these came to the market. Does you remember? Fanta Lobina and Fanta Lemon. Fanta Lobina was a product that was put in the market. It has the color of the current Radler beer. So Radler beer stout, Takako stout. It is not pure white. It's not lemonish. It's somewhere in between that. I don't know. You own it? So that means it's going to have 5 models. Seller draft. Seller draft is working here. The reason why we're okay with Radler is the bottle. Because the bottle is not a clear bottle. They're using the ordinary beer bottle for packing it. Now, when Fanta Lomina came to the market, literally the water that you see, it looks like a dirty water. And they brought that product in a clear bottle, like Fanta. So there's a repairing part. The taste was excellent. The taste was excellent. The ingredients were perfect. But what came? They shouldn't have brought it in a clear bottle. The other product that they brought was Fanta Lemon. Fanta Lemon, it is very hard to actually give the color of that product. Is there anyone with the brightest of green wearing? Anybody? The brightest of green. Simply post it sticker so that happens, you see. You really want to consume it, you see that color and it feels weird. If you are targeting little kids, it might work. But if you are targeting teenage, that's not how it works. So you have to really understand who are you targeting with that product and how is it going to be. Fanta Domina, when it came to the market, the target market was people above the age of 15. Fanta has never had a target group above 15 years old. It is usually lower than that. Fanta is targeted for kids. I'm not saying if you are drinking Fanta, you're kids. I'm not saying that, but the actual, the ideal market is. So if it doesn't go with the target market, it might fail. So what you have to do is you have to test the product. You have to test the product in terms of visual aspect. You have to test it in terms of how that product appears. That's why if you go to the real estate industries, if you go to the real estate agents, whatever housing that they are selling, what do they do? የቤቱን ፕላን አውጥተው አይደል የሚያሳዩት የቤቱን ፕላን ስለማይበቃ ደግሞ ምን ያደርገው ነው ዲዛይን ሞዴሎች ተሰርተው በቤቱ አስቀምጠው ያሳዩዋቸዋል ለምንድን ነው ቪዥዋላይዚንግ አይደል 300 ካሬ ነው የተባላችሁት ቤት በሩ በኋላ ነው ስፒድ ማለት ነው ወዲዩ አይደል አሁን ባለፈው አንድ ቤት ሄጄ እያየሁ I was saying who made the house የሳሎኑ ዋና በር that means the kitchen is the most important aspect for the house. So you need to actually visualize it before you actually put it into action. አለበለዚያ ምን ይሆናል? ካለቀ በኋላ የህንጻው ፊትና ኋላ ይጣፋል። I'm not sure if you know the Isama building. Have you heard it? This is what happened. The front that you see is not actually the front of the building. It's the back of it. So you need visual aspects. So that's part of the tasting. Okay, products work. The next thing that we're going to do is, okay, if the products work, you need to do analysis. Would that product becomes a viable business? Would I get money out of it? Would I be effective? So this is very important. So business viability, financial analysis is a very good thing that you have to do. You have to test the concept. Okay. As a concept, it works. Okay. Would it work? Would it bring money? Right? How many of you have you ever seen Shark Tank? Shark Tank, it's a kind of a platform where entrepreneurs come and pitch their ideas. So the idea is there, the concept is there. The primary question is what? How do I make money out of it? Because if a business is set up without making the money, then it becomes a philanthropic event. Make sure that there is a financial aspect. So what are the major factors to be considered in financial and business analysis? The first is demand projection. Okay? Demand projection is what would be the demand like in the future. Now this is one of the major issues. Some businesses are created based on this and they fail because their demand projection is a dying out business. Let's say if you are targeting people above the age of 65 currently, you're doomed to fail. Because see, the number of people above the age of 65 currently in Ethiopia are 4%. 4%. That's a huge loss as a business. That's why መንገድ ለመንገድ ስትሄዱ ቡቲክስ ታያላችሁ የአዛውንት ልብስ መሸጫ አይታችኋላችሁ ለሽማግሌ ከስራ መሸጫ ሱቅ አይታችኋላችሁ we don't see it ዳይፐር መንገድ ለመንገድ ታያላችሁ ለማንም it's for the kids አይደል if you go to Germany if you go to France if you go to the US the biggest diaper market is not for kids as you go back in time. It's a natural process. So you get to 38. And as you tell you market, the diaper in a school money. Yeah. So demand projection. I'm not saying it is going to be like this. I'm not saying it's going to be like this. A very simple scenario. Probably 20 years along the road, 25 years along the road, the number of people above the age of 65 would be close to the population of Netherlands. That is how the population would change ምክንያቱም ላይፍ ኤክስፔክታንሲ አሁን በፊት ከነበረበት ምን እያለ እየጨመረ ነው። በፊት 45 እና 49 ነበረ፣ አሁን 55 እና 59 ነው። So in 10 years time, if we proceed with the rate that we are on, life expectancy will more ይጨምራል። That means የዛሬ 25 ዓመት ወደ 15 ቢሊዮን የሚሆን ሰው እድሜው ከ65 በላይ ይሆናል። ያ ምን ያመጣል ማለት ነው? ልክ የህፃናት ፊት ዞን እንደምታዩት የአዛውንቶች ካርታ መጫወቻ ልክ መብራት ኃይል እንዳለው የቢንጎ ማጫወቻ በየቦታው ማለት ነው። Because that's how the trend is going. So demand projection is a very critical aspect. How is the demand now and how is it going to be like? The second is cost projection. How much would it cost us to produce it? How much would it cost us to make that? Okay. And other aspect is competition. Just because in the current setting, if you don't have competitors, it doesn't mean that you will never have competitors. When you are trade, competitors የሚመጡት መቼ? When you are getting successful, competitors will come. ልክ እንደ ቀሽም ቤት አከራይ ነው። ቤት አከራዮቹ በኋላ የሱቅ በር ይሸጣል። ያዋጣል ለካ ሶስት ወር ሰራ እኮ አልከሰርም። በስድስተኛው ወር ወይ ኪራይ ጨምር ወይ ልቀቅ አይደል? በሰባተኛው ወር እነሱ ያንን ስራ ይሰሩ። And usually they pay. Right? Because marketing differs. The kind of marketing you did to gain that profitability, it's yours. Right? So that is a very critical aspect. So you need to really understand competition. And meaning by competition, you have to also think of both the direct and indirect competition as well. The other is in terms of investment. How much money does it require you to start? Some businesses are very easy to start. If it is easy to start, it means it would be easy for competitors to come in. So we call it entry barrier. If the entry barrier of a business is low, that means competition would be high. If the entry barrier is high, competition would be what? Low. This works for both entry as well as exit barriers. What sort of barriers do you say for the business? Most important. Okay, the investment is good. There is good projection in terms of demand. The cost that you projected along the years is diminishing through time because you are gaining expertise. Then you're going to say, do I make money out of it? So profitability is very critical. Profitability is also a very important aspect in terms of liquidity of organizations. So some organizations might make money, but they may not be profitable. Because they don't make profit, they lack liquidity. So they collapse. And then the companies, when liquid. It could be because our non-accounting days, account receivable, balance sheet positive because you have a lot of account receivables. But you don't have cash at hand. If you don't have cash at hand, the daily operation ገንዘብ ከየት ታመጣለህ? ኮላፕስ ድርቀት ያጋጥመዋል ማለት ነው። ሰው ብቻ ሳይሆን ካምፓኒም ይደርቅ። So liquidity means having cash to run through the company. Yeah, so this is a very critical aspect. Then comes the essence of product development. It is making sure that the product is converted into from idea to tangible element. We call it product development. So ideate ያረጋችሁትን ነገር conceptualize ያረጋችሁትን ነገር ምን ታደርጉታላችሁ ማለት ነው? ለምሳሌ የልብስ ዲዛይን ሊሆን ይችላል። That design is in your head. That design was on paper. ያንን ወደ ምን ስትናመጣው actual wearable products that is product development. Okay. Product development also works with what? Finding the right marketing strategies to it. Okay? Because products ላመረታችሁ ራሱ በእግሩ ሄዶ አይሸጥም አይደለም መሸጫ ያ ፕሮዳክት እንዲታወቅ ማድረጊያ መንገድ ፕሮዳክቱ ትክክለኛውን ፎርም እንዲይዝ ማድረጊያ ስትራቴጂ ስለሚያስፈልጋል we call it a product development stage and for that we need effective marketing strategies. Then whenever we talk about product development we talk about product construction. በዲዛይን ያስቀመጣችሁትን ልብስ ጨርቅ ቆርጣችሁ መስፋት ስትጀምሩ ምን ሆነ ማለት ነው? That is construction stage. Okay? Then bringing it in a presentable form, that's what we call packaging. Then the current sensation is about branding it. አይደለም? So brand-አችሁን ማሳረፍ. How do you brand that? But that is also important. The other is product positioning. How do you want consumers to think your product? So yet ጋር ጭንቅላታቸው ውስጥ የሚያሳርፉ that's positioning. Okay. Because there are lots of similar products that are in the market. What makes yours different? How do you want your consumers to remember your product? And the last aspect is what we regard as usage testing. Usage testing goes in line with what we regard as test marketing. Okay? Test marketing is ለምሳሌ ያንን ፕሮዳክት ለተወሰኑ ሰዎች እስቲ ተጠቀሙትና ፊድባካቸውን እስቲ ብሉትና ፊድባካቸውን አሁን ኤግዚቢሽን ስትሄዱ ባፍንጫችሁ ሚጥሚጣ ያጎርሷቸዋል ታዲያ ፕሮዳክት ምናልባት እዛ ጋር በሂሳብ ተጨቃጭቃችሁ ከሆነ የሚሰጧችሁ ሚጥሚጣ ጭራሽ ረጅም ያፈራል but the issue is testing is very important. Food item is very important. Very important. ለዛ ነው አንዳንድ ቦታዎች አይታችሁ ከሆነ ፕሮዳክት እየሰሩ በተለይ ፉድ አይተም ላይ ትንሽ በጣም ነው አርጎ ይሰጧቸዋል አይደል መወስወስ ይባላል because product is ቢራ ፋብሪካዎች ሌጎ ኢንሳይት አንድ ዞር ይላል አይደል ቢራ ባንድ አይቆም አይደል አንድ ታክሶ ዞር ስለሌለ you need to proceed. That's what we regard as product testing. You go to certain areas that you think representative አሉ ብላችሁ የምታስቡባቸው ቦታዎች you test the market. And for instance, when NASFoods active production ላይ በነበረበት ጊዜ every now and then they send their products to my class. ለተማሪዎቼ ብስኩት ይመጣላቸው. So in a way they are testing it. For the student it was also entertaining. Biscuit Mamar, so you will do it next class. So the purpose of evaluation and evaluating the product and testing the marketing efforts, it helps you to actually determine if I go full scale in the system, would it work? But full scale begin, would it work? Here, by the way, is a very critical aspect. This is where we miss the majority of the company. ማስታወቂያ አንስተው በቲቪ ለቁታል በቲቪ ከመለቀቁ በፊት ያ ማስታወቂያ ሰው ቢያየው ምን ይሰማዋል ምን መደረግ አለበት ቴስት መደረግ አለበት መሞከር አይደለም አይደለም እንደ ካብል አይሞከርም አንዳንድ የላብራቶሪ ሰዎች ይሞክራሉ አይደል አሁን ለምሳሌ if I have a new product I don't just simply go out into the market and test it ቤት ገባና You can't say this to the general public. Product market area product fail you have a huge legal crisis to deal with. I don't know. So let's even market but was son of these companies without but I'm the product so behavior ለማየት ፊድባክን ለማየት ካራክተሮችን ለማየት የኮንሱመር ሪፍሌክሽን ምን ይመስላል ቀለሙን ሲያዩ አንዳንድ ጊዜ ፕሮዳክቱን ወዳችሁ ፓኬጁ የሚያሰኛችሁ ይሆናል አንዳንድ ፕሮዳክቱን ተወዱትና ቀለሙ ሊሆን ይችላል ኢሪቴት ያደርጋል አንዳንድ ቀለሙና ፓኬጁ ያምራል ፕሮዳክቱ አይዲያስ ሁሉም የምትሉት ይወጥ probably ወይ ፕሮዳክቱ ትሉትና ፓኬጁን ስለወደዳችሁ ለቤት ይታሰቡ so this is what happens so you really need to really work on how you're going to provide the product in the market so that is what we got that testing the last element is commercializing now you take it to the actual market you take it to the full fledged of the market you're going commercializing is clearing out all the marketing activities that you need to do beforehand, making sure that it is safe when you take it to the market. But just because you have gone through all this process, doesn't mean that commercializing will always solve the problem. And then the company can also process kind of commercialize the product to pay the and then there is no justification for it. And then it is just screw me on a personal. Product is here with the other. But any product, some type of you can start with one on the are going. I don't know. What do you know? Would it work? Mekuria, but Zabulet and Nasostamus, there are marriage, the reality of Sumataka Jumper. Yes, sir? So let's say timing is also important. You have to do it in the right time, to the right market, in the right way. And then you host another algorithm, commercialize the product to get it like that. So product has to pay the direct money. Go the extra market. Okay. It might take learning problem. Because there are a lot of products that are paid. I'm not sure if you remember, and then we did product myopia balance plans in our answer. Product focus on to the product actually upgrade ማድረግ እናስብና ኮንሱመሩ የድሮ ፕሮዳክት ሞዴሉ ሳናቀው ይቀይርበታል ስንቀይርበት ምን ይሆናል አዲስ ፕሮዳክት እያለ የድሮውን ይሄዳል I'm not sure if you remember with the Microsoft products the Windows product today Windows XP was at some point the most popular Windows XP ቀጥሎ Windows Vista development. Vista was the latest one. But the applicability ለብዙ ሰው ያስቸግር ነበር ሰው አዲስ ላፕቶፕ ገዝቶ ቪስታ ያለው ማለት ቪስታውን ሪቡት አስደርጎ XP ያስቀርባል What does it mean? Company product develop አድርጎ ኮሜርሻላይዝ ሲያደርግ ምኑን አላየም ማለት እዛኛው ላይ ኮንሱመር ምን ይወዱ ነበር እንዴት አድርጌ ሪሌት ላደርገው ለዛ ነው the Windows 2008, 2011, somehow you experience good practices without it. So you don't just simply drop the previous ones and keep on with the new ones. So commercialization, it is implementing the total marketing plan in full production. Plan ያደረጋችሁ ነገር አለ በትንሹ አይሞከራችኋትም ብታወራላችሁ The next would be the key success factors in new product development. You'll see it.